Hello, and welcome to Time Traveling Team, the podcast where we review every story of Doctor Who right from the very beginning. I'm Paddy.
And I'm Tricia. In this week's special Rambling in the TARDIS, it's time for us to say goodbye to Melanie, Mel Bush. As always, we'll be discussing Mel's strengths and weaknesses, as well as our picks for her best and worst episodes. However, in the case of Mel, we're going to rank her 6 stories from worst to best.
She's following the time-honored tradition of Liz Shaw and Harry Sullivan. As always, we would love to hear your thoughts on Mel and her time in the TARDIS. And in order to join in the discussion, you can check us out at Time Teamp, that's TIMETAMP, on all of our socials, or you can email us at timetravelingteam@teamproductions.com. Hello.
Hello.
So, before we dive into the Mel pool, one thing I would like to talk about is an announcement that came out as of recording last week, which is the discovery of 2 more missing episodes from the Daleks' master plan. Unfortunately, it's still not the episode with Katarina's demise, which is a weird thing for me to say. But like so way back when we watched the reconstruction of it from Loose Cannon, thank you very much, Loose Cannon, and it's a very weird recreation. So to actually see it would be kind of cool. But we've got so we'll have the first 3 episodes of that story now restored, thankfully. And then there's 2 more in it. So we're it's a 12-episode story, so they've got 5. I don't know what the threshold is for when they'll just decide to animate the rest of it. But maybe the fact that they're halfway there, they might actually put some money into it. Who knows?
I don't know, because I think the animated stuff is very expensive for them. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. The animation quality is good for the stories. It's not exactly Pixar level animation that they're doing, but it's still expensive.
Yes.
And there's a large number of assets that need to be created. And so that's a big deciding factor, is how many assets do they need to make, as in art assets, do they need to make in order to animate the story. That's why that's one of the reasons why Marco Polo wasn't going to be done. And I think if they still have half the story to go, and that's still 6 episodes.
And that's an expansive story as well, because
it's a bouncy one. Do you know what I mean? It bounces a lot. So
you've got Ancient Egypt, you've got episode 7, Feast of Stephen. Yeah, Jesus, I think they would probably have an easier time doing Marco Polo than they would that. But one thing I always kind of found funny was that is the change in animation studios that they use. Like, there's no set. Like, so for 10th Planet and The Invasion, they had more of a flash animation style. And then that was replicated for Reign of Terror. But then when they went into the rest of the Troughton era, I believe, then it started like going, the animation style kind of changes into being...
Yeah, most of the Troughton era, like Macra and Abominable and
Fear from the Deep.
A lot of those are very similar.
Yeah. And then the Web of Fear is that weird 2000s Captain Scarlet CGI type stuff.
Yeah. In fact, they're just trying to get them done. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I had to laugh because our friend Vicky messaged us and said, "Hey, did you see this?" And my initial response is, "I've stopped paying attention to lost Doctor Who episodes have been found articles." I was like, "I'll pay attention when BBC releases them." And she starts like, "They are releasing them first." And I was like, "Oh, okay, so they're going up on BBC iPlayer."
Yeah. April 4th, I think.
Yeah. So I was quickly put back in my box. I was like, cool.
Yeah. Apparently it was like, I think it was like a surprise because they were found, and then they invited people that found it, invited Peter Purves to come down, and but under like the pretense that it was something else, and they said, "Oh, we found these 2 episodes."
Yeah. So I think restoring any classic Doctor Who is always great. Again, we're missing so much of the Troughton era as a whole, and we're still missing a fair bit of build.
Yeah.
So, anything that can be done to restore them is obviously great.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see them all discovered in our lifetime. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. But back to the present as
Yes.
such. We are going to be discussing Mel. So,
We are.
so if this is your first time with us for a rambling of all things, welcome. With the ramblings, what we always do is we discuss a character's strengths and their weaknesses. And then we would normally go down through their stories. We'd pick their best three, their worst three, and we would compare notes. But for short term companions like Mel, we just do a ranking of worst to best story. So, I believe I went first with the socials, so I shall go first. So we kind of like to end things on a high usually, so we start off with the weaknesses. And the weaknesses are for Mel is got nothing to do with Mel. It's pretty much the writing and the development given to her because it hits a point, and that point I would say is Paradise Towers, at which point it's a case of I can't be fucking arsed with her anymore. Because like there was a massive shift in terms of how she is utilized. And like so you had said, I believe, for Delta and the Bannerman's trivia section, that around that time Bonnie was thinking of stepping away from the show. So they started trialing out new potential companions. So that's why you have so much focus on Ray and then those two American fucking characters for some bizarre reason in Delta and the Bannerman. And then when we come into Dragonfire, obviously we have Ace, because Ace is going to become the permanent companion. But even within those stories, like she's just not utilized. And it's a massive downstep from the start off with the likes of Terror and the Vervoids and Time and the Rani, and not giving away my rankings here at all. Yeah, but no, so like it's hard to give Mel character weaknesses because all of the weaknesses for her come from the production side of things, from the writers and from the script and from the producer. The biggest complaint I would have about Mel herself is she screams an awful lot, sometimes unnecessarily, but again, that's down to the fact of John Nathan Turner going, "Oh, she got a high pitched voice, use it." I don't know why he sounds like he's from Kerry now, but that's that's what it's like. And also, there's this really weird time where she can jump into things kind of sillily, like in like Dragonfire. She was like, Glitz told us all about his secret mission, and you have to kill us if you want to get through to him. But it's like, he's a lying scumbag. Why are you sticking up for him? So, but those are like two very small things within that character that I've got. She's so underdeveloped, it's very hard to critique those things properly because of the poor development of her. So yeah, the biggest weaknesses of Mel are for the fact that by the end of it, they just couldn't give a fuck about her anymore.
Yeah, so like I had two weaknesses down. A two-parter this one, which is the inconsistent and poor writing for the character is probably the biggest weakness for this character. And this isn't anything new, which is unfortunate because we said the same thing for Perry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that John Nathan Turner, up until this point, hasn't given a fiddler's damn about his companions.
No.
There's something for the dads, and that's literally it. And I'm so glad that going forward with the companion that comes next, because I've seen it, that begins to shift, which is good.
Well, like a part of that as well is Eric Saward as the script editor. Like the pair of them together were just like
the pair of them together just didn't give a fiddler's damn about the companions because, again, not to give away the rankings, but she had a really strong start. In the context of her first story is her first story from our point of view, but she's been traveling with the Doctor for ages. And so it's a really strong insight into her character and stuff like that. But beyond that, she is never developed. Like, we learn zero about her. How did she travel with the Doctor? Where exactly is she from? Is she from quote unquote contemporary Earth, or is she from a little bit further in the past, a little bit further in the future? We don't know. Apparently, she has a natural skill with computers and she studied computer science.
Mm-hmm.
Never comes up.
No.
Never. You know, it's like fucking Perry being a botanist.
Mm-hmm.
It came up once, kind of, sort of, as an afterthought. Um, which I think is really, really shit, because when we get to her strengths, she has a lot of strengths.
Mm-hmm.
She really, really does. And the fact that they won't consistently write her is a pain in the ass. And I'll get into that more when we're doing our ranking around like certain episodes that particularly bothered me. But also like, so Bonnie saw Doctor Who not as this step into stardom that a lot of people saw it as. Bonnie was already quite well known at this point, and she saw it as another job. So it's like you're coming into rep, you do your year, and then you leave. And that was kind of her thing, right? But the fact that they gave over 2 of her stories to setting up other companions is just fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, doing it once, fine, but doing it twice in a row is just fucking ridiculous. The other thing is, I must agree with you, is the screaming. I think if you were to target a weakness of the character, like if you were to say like, oh, like, you know, why would you like or dislike a character? The screaming is up there. But what particularly bothers me is that the screaming does not align with the character we are presented with.
Mm.
So we have always said we don't mind if someone screams.
No.
It's perfectly normal. Scary shit happens. Things shock you. I mean, I scream if Paddy pokes me in the ribs, right? It's people scream.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the way they do her fucking screams is stupid, because she has to hit a particular fucking note when she's screaming, first of all. And then they have her hold it for a ridiculously long amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Way longer than the character of Mel that we are shown would actually scream.
Mm.
And that's the bit that gets annoying, because it's not just that she's a screamy companion, it's that she's a screamy companion on top of a not screamy companion.
Mm.
Do you mean, so like they've written her to not be screamy, but then they're having her scream all the time. So I agree with you. I think like Mel's biggest downside is the inconsistent and poor writing, which means that all people remember about her is that she screams because she's Bonnie, and of course she screams.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, it's just, it's like, even like when I was watching the behind the sofas, because you were just talking about like episodes, all of Mel's episodes are all available on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
They're all available in the collection sets, which is great. So you get the behind the sofas. And it's funny because every time she screams, the people on the sofas watch it go, and of course Bonnie's screaming. And like, it's never done as like, oh, well done, Bonnie, or whatever. It's like J&T had this weird obsession with it. Like, it was funny the first time.
Yeah.
That she was able to scream on pitch so it matched the music.
Mm.
That was kind of funny. They did it once, but then they fucking kept going. So I feel kind of bad for Bonnie herself, because she started making this a really interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
And they just decided, oh, it's funny that Bonnie's short and screams.
Yep.
And that's it. But, like I said, she does have strengths. So, Paddy, why don't you take us away on what you thought were Mel's strengths?
Cool. So, first of all, she's fashionable. And I timed that perfectly because Tricia had a drink. No.
Thanks.
In all seriousness, there's a couple of different facets to her strengths. So there's her skill set, essentially, which is that she's very intelligent. She has a very good nose for investigation side of things, like as we see like in Terror of the Vervoids, and she's very kind of clever to think about, like, didn't she get like the headset to go into the vent so that she could hear what was going on. So, and like I really enjoyed her. I enjoyed her rapport with Colin. Like I just thought they worked really well off each other, and you can see the confidence that we knew that the character had straight off the bat. She's not afraid to get stuck into things, which is good. She's absolutely brave, which again, the screaming really kind of overshadows the fact that going, no, she's actually a very resourceful and brave character. To the extent of like she's not afraid to throw hands at people or kick people in the balls if needs be. I would have liked to seen a bit more of her technical skills, because as you say, look, she has knowledge of computer science, but we do see the intelligence come to the fore a bit, like especially in Time of the Rani, when the doctor was trying to figure out, like, oh, why does she want this calculation? And then Mel was like, saying, oh, well, maybe she wants to create a lightweight substitute for the thing that's extremely heavy. So it's going, yes, there we go. There's the science sibs that we've been missing since Five and Tegan, essentially. But I think the other core strength,
Tegan?
not Tegan, Nissa. Jesus, sorry. I know. No,
I was about to say. I was like, I think
I-
you've gotten your
yeah,
companions
no.
wrong.
The reason I said Tegan is because when you said the thing, I'm like, of course, Bonnie is screaming. I can imagine the fucking two
Oh yeah,
pricks in the behind the scenes that would be saying that.
yes, exactly.
But Mel, her other main strength is her emotional intelligence, which is really nice to see, because now we don't get it so much with Colin, because they've got more of the whole adventurer side of things going. But it's the part with the fifth doctor, not the fifth doctor, Jesus, I'm all over the place, with Sylvester, the seventh doctor, and it's when he's trying to figure out who he is. And it's just like there's that nice little look between them, and then they touch heads, which we talked about how before that was such a very sweet moment. And she has that like a nice capacity to let people. Basically, her emotional intelligence allows the other characters around her to breed, which then allows us to create those attachments to them in one way, shape, or form. Breathe. Okay. Fuck's sake. I can't pronounce my TH, just leave me alone. But anyway, it allows the characters to develop and the stories to develop and grow because of she's our emotional guidepost. So that's why, like, we talked before about Paradise Towers and how the doctor and her give two different aspects of being inside a storm. Like, where she was caught in the maelstrom and he was the center of it, watching everything go around. And we get to know what life is like in the towers through her. And we get to know the doctor does his fair bit in it as well. But Mel allows that to happen. And then in something, even though where she doesn't play, like I say, like a massive part at like Delta and the Bannerman, we feel the impact of the bus exploding from Mel.
Yeah.
So, and we've always talked before about how we're very character-centric people, and we like it when either the story or the doctor / companion helps us get attached to supporting characters. And Mel was someone that had that capacity, but just for whatever reason wasn't given the opportunities to let it grow a bit further. So yeah, again, the seeds are there, just for whatever reason they just didn't develop it enough.
Yeah, so I agree with pretty much everything you said there. She is very brave, which is why the fact that she screams at a strong breeze makes no fucking sense. She's willing to get stuck in, Terror of the Riverwoods, Paradise Towers, both of those being key examples of that. And she is very smart. And one of the things I like, so you gave the example from Time and the Rani, but another example from Time and the Rani is just the fact that the Rani was able to impersonate Mel, but still for 2 episodes or whatever it was,
Yeah.
be doing all this science and it not be, I mean, the doctor obviously is post regeneration, but it's not ringing weird bells that this isn't something Mel should be able to do. It's totally believable that he and Mel be working together in a project. That's not the questions. The questions that come up are like, she's acting a little bit fucking weird, but like the fact that when he meets the real Mel, he can't, like, the only thing that tells it away is the heartbeat, because as far as he's concerned, the intelligence is completely non-issue. Whereas if you compared her to to be honest, almost any other companion. I think the Doctor would have made an intelligence snipe at some point. Even for some of our most favorite companions, I think probably the only ones that wouldn't really come up would be Zoe, Liz Shaw,
or
Nissa, really. I think those are probably the only ones where it wouldn't come up. But like pretty much everyone else, like even like Ian was a science teacher.
Yeah.
The barbs would still come up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that in itself sort of tells you how intelligent Mel actually is. But one of the things I love about her so much is the fact that, you know, in a time where, I mean, this came out in the 80s, where being an intelligent, self-assertive woman meant that you had to maybe play it a bit butch or a bit like cold and calculating. Mel is just a bundle of energy who is comfortable in her own skin. She's intelligent, she's brave, she's got big fucking red hair, and she bounces around like a squirrel on crack. She doesn't fucking give a shit. Which I think for, you know, girls to have someone to look up to, I think it's actually really, really good. You know, it's a really nice way to have a companion that, you know, just because you're smart doesn't mean that you can't be into your exercise, or doesn't mean you can't be this, or doesn't mean you can't be that. She's very self-assertive, not only in the story, but also just in herself. You know, we never get her sort of being disregarded because she's tiny and bubbly. That's never a thing. So I mean, so she trusts in herself. She's also happy just to go off and do her own thing. Again, Paradise Towers being probably the prime example of that, but also a little bit even in Delta and the Bannerman. Yeah, the Doctor was off doing his thing. That's fine. She went off and did her own thing. Like, she doesn't need to live in his pocket. She's perfectly fine on her own. Gets along grand. The other thing that I love, and we love seeing this in a companion, is that she's focused on saving the Doctor as much as he's focused on saving her. Paradise Towers, Time in the Rani, she's just saying, like, I have to find him. I told him I'd meet him, or like, we need to save him, or whatever. She's very much focused on their friendship and their dynamic. I love, like you said, the bit in Time in the Rani where they sort of come together. I love her and Colin because they've got such a height difference between them. It's just really cute and adorable because she's like this little fucking chihuahua fucking sniping at him to do his exercises and stuff. But ultimately she's just a very strong character, which is why her weaknesses are so frustrating. Because she could have been amazing. Like, you know, we've talked about companions in the classic show being precursors to companions in the modern era, but very much, like, sometimes when I'm watching Mel, I can't help but think of a couple of episodes of the 10th Doctor and Donna, particularly the one around Atmos, and the Doctor's daughter, where you have Donna realizing that, you know, she goes and checks the records. No one ever gets sick. How fucking weird is that? Things the Doctor wouldn't even think of. Or in the Doctor's daughter, when she realizes the dating mechanism. And she's 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody else in the room. And I think Mel is really the precursor to that.
I can see it.
Do you know? Like, if you, I would, to be honest, I would say if you like Donna as a companion, check out Mel, because I think you actually would really like her. She's not quite as gruff as Donna can be, so there's that slight difference, but she has that confidence in herself that Donna at her best also portrays. So I think we're agreed that she has a lot of strengths, and it sucks that Eric Starwood can't write for shit.
I also, just because of an earlier conversation we're having, I just imagine now that you have this group called Flame Force 5, which is Mel, Donna, Liz Shaw, Dana Scully, Beverly Crusher.
I won't say no to that group.
No. Because like you were saying, like like that, just about they don't have to be like cold and calculating. They think we kind of fun and bouncy and that type of thing. Whereas going, yeah, at the start, Dane is like Scully's kind of a bit cold and standoffish, but as it goes on, she warms up an awful lot, and then you got the dancing doctor from Star Trek. So yeah, she got great with Bonnie.
Yeah, I did fucking love her. I
Oh,
fucking think she was brilliant.
yeah.
And the one thing as well is before we go on is obviously it's different for Paddy, but obviously I watched this a little bit out of order in the sense that I'd seen Mel in the modern era first, which is also the way I saw Sarah Jane.
Yes.
I saw Sarah Jane in the modern era first as well. And like spoilers for when we eventually get there. Initially watching particularly Shooty's stories and seeing Mel working for Unit. Initially I was like, really? Because all I knew about her was a fucking screen grab from Time and the Rani and the fact that she screamed a lot. That was literally all I knew. She so belongs in Unit. She fucking kick ass in Unit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, she totally belongs there. It's so believable. When I'm really looking forward to us picking up with her again. And I love the fact that because she only has 6 stories, she doesn't.
Yeah.
She has 6 plus.
Yeah.
The extra ones we're going to see later on, which is going to be great.
I like that regeneration scene is great as well because of like when Shooty Doctor sees Mel, and just immediately like he latches onto her, and it's kind of like that almost feels like a bit of a love letter from Russell T Davies to Bonnie.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, will we do a second rambling for Mel? Maybe not, because she's not really a companion in those stories. She's more of a supporting character. Yeah. But it would definitely be interesting to compare this Mel to that Mel in the right viewing order.
Yeah, because like we would have we said like I think we'd have to do it for Sarah Jane because she is a proper companion in at least one of those stories. And like with the Brig as well, like the Brig like continues to brig every so often. So yeah.
But should we go on to our ranking of Mel's stories? So as a reminder, Mel had 6 stories, as we said. In airing order, they were Terror of the Vervoids, The Ultimate Foe, Time and the Rani, Paradise Towers, Delta and the Bannerman, and Dragonfire. So because there's only 6, we're just going to rank them from 6 to 1, 6 being the worst and 1 being the best. So Paddy, do you want to say your ranking? And then we'll see how it compares to mine, and then we can discuss each episode as we go.
Cool. It was kind of funny because it was nearly going to. It started off being a complete reverse order of production, but it didn't. So in number 6 is Dragonfire. In number 5 is Delta and the Bannerman. Number 4 is The Ultimate Foe. Number 3 is Time and the Rani. Number 2 is Paradise Towers, and number 1 is Terror of the Vervoids.
Okay. So I have, perhaps unfairly, number 6 is The Ultimate Foe.
Okay.
5 and 4 interchange depending on my mood. Currently, my mood is 5 is Delta and the Bannerman, and 4 is Dragonfire.
Okay.
3 is Time and the Rani, 2 is Paradise Towers, and 1 is Terror of the Vervoids.
Okay, cool. So we're top end aligned, and okay. Cool.
So should we discuss why you didn't put Ultimate Foe at the bottom and why I did?
Yeah.
So my reason for putting Ultimate Foe at the bottom is that it was a really poor choice by JNT. He'd basically introduced this character in Terror of the Vervoids, which we've just said we both think was amazing.
Yeah.
But now they have to close off this fucking trial shit. And as opposed to trusting the character they literally just fucking introduced, they instead decided to bring back Glitz And Mel is just overshadowed by Glitz. Glitz goes into the Matrix with the Doctor. Glitz is driving everything with him. Mel is there, and Mel is brave, and she shows all that stuff that we've said, but she doesn't actually fucking do anything, really, because they chickened out and focused on Glitz instead. And I think I put it in last place because it just pisses me off that, like, you just set her up as being this amazing character, and then for some reason you get fucking chicken shit and have to use Glitz instead. And I'm like, what the fuck is the point in that? Like, Glitz is a fun character, but the story would have worked just as well without Glitz and just have it be Bonnie. Or just have it be Mel, rather. So that's why I put it at the bottom, because I think it's a non-story almost for Mel.
I can see that. Yeah, like, no, I definitely can see that.
Is there a reason why you put it further up? Or is it just on comparison?
No, it's so there's what's the best way to put this, right? Is that there was a massive gulf, between Dragonfire, Delta and the Bannerman and Ultimate Foe. And even then there's still a gap between Ultimate Foe and the rest of them. Because with the Ultimate Foe, absolutely, look, it was okay, you brought back in Glitz because fair enough, he was a decent like, we knew that there was an aspect of that story because of all the redacted dialogue and everything that we knew, oh, something else is going to come out of this. So bringing Glitz back in made sense. Did it make sense for him to be the one, just him and the Doctor be, initially in the Matrix? No. But what I do like about Mel in that particular story is that she gets fucking sick and tired of the Time Lords bullying her around, to the extent of, like, where she, I think, practically fucking needs an old man in the bollocks, steals his key, and then runs into the Matrix to save the Doctor, because no, she doesn't know that he's playing a long con, but she goes, and we kind of spoke to that bravery where she's trying to save the Doctor. She runs in to try and save him. And then once you get past the Doctor's initial kind of frustration with the fact that his plan is foiled, then we get that nice little investigation duo of them again, going into Papa Wick's factory, unmasking Papa Wick, and both of them working together to save the day. And it's the fact that, like, we do get times of where it's the Doctor and Mel working together, which we do not get in the other stories of Delta and the Banner and Dragonfire. Yes, it is a complete step down from Terror of the Vervoids, but for me, I think it's a massive step up than the other two, because at least she does something.
Cool. So then next I had Delta and you had
Dragonfire.
Delta, or did you have Dragon?
I Dragon at the bottom.
Okay. So why did I put Delta next on the list? Because she contributes nothing to the story, bar reacting to a bus blowing up in a really weird way. She is sidelined so much in a way that doesn't make any sense. She is sidelined in Dragonfire as well. Once again, in favour of fucking Sabalom Glitz. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Is the obsession with sidelining her in favour of Glitz. But she's then passing the torch to Ace. So from a storytelling point of view, it's quite nice having her with Ace, and we can see how they compare to each other and stuff like that. But in Delta, she literally contributes fucking nothing. She screams when the fucking baby's born, then she goes for a nap. Right? Fucking reasons.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She contributes nothing. She goes off and has a lovely holiday for herself, contributing diddly squat. And like I said, part of the problem is going to be the first of 2 companion setup stories. But at least in Dragonfire, her and Ace are doing their own thing together. She's not doing it with the Doctor, which sucks, but she's still doing something. Her and Ace are still having their own adventure. Whereas in Delta, she gives Delta a loan of her clothes, which how the fuck did they fit? And she goes for a nap.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. She doesn't figure anything out. We don't use her mind for anything. She screams and sleeps.
She gets tired after that. Actually, speaking of Delta, our long-term listener Paul, he messaged me kind of saying like 0 out of 5 is a bit harsh, and I started to kind of say it back to him, and I was just thinking, going, no, do not fucking put me down this fucking rabbit hole again of this fucking story. So I think maybe depending on my mood, I might flip the two of them around. But the reason that I had Dragonfire below Delta, and I think we can like talk about the two of them together. The reason I had Dragonfire below Delta is because when I said of her strength, which is that she helps us gain an emotional attachment to characters and helps gain an emotional attachment to the story. So, like to the extent of where we were discussing Delta, I was asking you, like, should we talk about Murray? Because Murray and Mel spend an awful lot of time together. And then when Murray dies, it's like, no, that's sad. Murray and all those innocent people died. And that's, I think, is because of the fact.
For 2 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. But we have that initial, oh, those people died because of the fact that Mel is having the time of her life in the 50s retro thing. Murray's having the time of his life hanging out with Mel, which is great because, okay, it's cool. Like, there's a level of, at least it's trying to get me invested in a story that I ended up fucking hating. With Dragonfire, like Mel, I think does even less than what you said that she did in Delta, because you said that, oh yeah, she's going around with Ace. Like you could have put anyone else into what Mel is doing, and Ace is still the driving force of the thing. Ace is the one that you're always focused on in that aspect of it. You could have any side character from that story pal along with Ace, and the result would be the exact same thing. There's nothing unique about Mel in it. And also, why I think it's the weakest story is because of the really poor way her leaving the TARDIS is handled. In the sense of, like, you and I had to discuss this about basically kind of going, okay, we had to headcanon it that the danger involved of traveling with the Doctor. And that's the reason we headcanon it is because it's something that previous companions have brought up. Oh yeah, so it's just falling into that trope. Whereas the whole thing of it's too dangerous for traveling with the Doctor. I never know where I'm going to end up. Instead, I'll go and travel with this fucking psychopath that will sell me out as soon as it is profitable for him to do it. So I'm angry at both of those stories, but I get less angry at the emotional aspect of Mel in Delta than I am at her really weird flippant nature in Dragonfire.
I think where you and I differed on that, I think we're still differing on that today. I think we'll just differ on it forever, which is great in its own way.
Yeah.
Is I see Dragonfire as a poor but ultimate culmination of Mel as the companion.
Mm-hmm.
Making decisions for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Passing on the torch to Ace in her own way. Because we don't get the feel, or at least I don't get the feeling that, the Doctor is replacing Mel with Ace. You kind of get the vibe that that Mel kind of, Mel was like, come on,
you need someone.
Yeah. But what I like about in Dragonfire, and again, like I said, these flip for me as well. So this is just today.
Yeah.
What I like about today is that Mel gets to stand on her own 2 feet when it comes to her own morals.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, we see her reaction when the dragon, quote unquote, dragon, is killed. And then it's not that she wants to sacrifice Ace and just fuck Ace.
Yeah.
But she's like, I cannot give him this fucking power source. Like, get fucked. No, he can't have it. And it's not that she's saying like fuck Ace. She's like, that's not the way she's thinking it. But she's not just following along and doing whatever the Doctor tells her. She's standing up for herself. And following her own instinct. which is good. I think is a nice culmination of the character. So, you know, that for me today is why I liked it more. Also, I think while her reasoning for leaving with Glitz is never fully explained, I do like the bit that comes after her saying that she's leaving.
Mhm.
I like the dynamic between the two of them when they're saying goodbye. I like
Yeah.
the doctor speech, all that. That's all lovely done. The reasoning for it makes less sense, and the headcanon is just she wants to go off and do her own thing and be
Yeah.
her own person. That's fine too. But yes, that for me is the difference between them. One is her having a solid relationship with people and then getting sad for 2 seconds when the bus blows up.
Mhm.
And the other is her stepping, in my mind, up as not only having the moral code, but standing up for it against the doctor himself
Yeah.
and saying, no, fuck you, I don't agree with your plan because your plan's fucking bullshit.
No, like, and like I think the big issue with that is like you and I think you and I sometimes what we do is we do a bit of heavy lifting for the characters in the story because we like the characters and we know the characters, and so we fill in the gaps where the dialogue isn't there, and which is fine because it's you and I doing that. But I think in terms of like as the story sometimes like they put in we talked about it before, but they put in so much waste into certain stories in terms of scenes and unnecessary characters, which is like you can shave off 30 seconds of guys walking around in corridors and you can give it to a dialogue back and forth between the Doctor and Mel as to the ethics of giving Kane the power source. And then have it in like, actual perpetuity on film of Mel being a really cool character and not just having to like explain to people, oh no, Mel's really interesting if you go and you look at the nuances and you read between the lines type thing.
I don't think you have to read between the lines. She literally says, no, I'm not giving it to him.
Oh, I know, but no, absolutely, she does say that, but I think I would just prefer a bit more back and forth between her and the Doctor. That's what I mean.
True, but also the story doesn't allow for it. There's no space in that scene for them to have a dialogue while your man is threatening to fucking freeze dry Ace right in front of them.
Maybe.
I get what you mean,
Yeah.
but it physically doesn't fit
Yeah.
in that scene.
Yeah. I think sometimes I just like whenever I feel like a character gets done dirty, I sometimes think I just look at that kind of cloud being a small bit.
Mm.
But like Mel is done so dirty in these last two stories, it's just fucking annoying,
Yeah.
and that's why she's done it by 5 and 6.
Yeah. But then we have the top three for which we have the same.
Yes.
Which is I was curious if we would, because Paddy doesn't always like having someone's first story being their best story, so I did think we might have put Paradise Towers first.
Yes.
So we have Time in the Rani, Paradise Towers, and Tower of the Verve. Right. So Paddy, why did you put Time in the Rani in your third spot? Other than there, it's decidedly better than the other three that came before it.
So does that. It's okay. Who was it? But all right. Is an existing companion in a regeneration story is always it's always a very interesting thing to see. And it's very interesting to see how it's handled. Because 75% of the focus of the character wise is focused on the new Doctor becoming who they are. And the remaining 25% of the character focus then would be about the new companion having to protect the Doctor, having to save themselves from the Doctor, having to figure out this new relationship with a person that's going through a massive episode. So here it was done in a very different way because for the Doctor, when the Doctor sees Mel, it's not Mel, it's the Rani. And so we have that thing before of, I'm just trying to think. This is the first time the companion has not been there for a regeneration. Like you could say Liz Shaw, but that's
Ben and Polly.
No, they were there. They were in the TARDIS, weren't they? When he collapsed and fell.
Maybe they were. It's been a while
Yeah,
since
okay.
I've gone back over that one.
Let me just take a look. Mellish. Okay, all the Daleks will start off with it. Yeah, no, they were in the TARDIS, I think. So what had happened. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
Mel was present, but she wasn't awake.
yeah. And so when she meets him, it's like, well, who are you? And he obviously thinks who Mel is, but is actually the Rani. But for Mel's thing is that she's still trying to find the doctor. And when she realizes that it's him and that he's confused because he doesn't know what's going on, the switch from, you know, the action side of things to the caring, nurturing side of things is great. And we have that wonderful little scene. It's very nice. And then there's what we kind of got a sense of, what we had a sense of in Terror of the Vervoids, which is the intelligence, the back and forth, the playing off each other to try and find the solution. So, yeah, look, there's the unnecessary screaming at points in time, and it's a bit weird, just like, as we said, like the unnecessary amount of screaming that goes on it. But then when she's actually there and focused, or sorry, when they're focusing on having nice moments together in terms of like showing off Mel, it's a good story for her, I think.
Yeah. So my thing with this is I didn't even consider Timon the Rani in relation to the other three, right? Was those three were playing for bottom positioning, and then we had these three. And so looking at Timon the Rani in relation to Paradise Towers and Terror of the Riverwoods, I agree with everything you said around the regeneration. Like I said, that reveal of them feeling each other's heartbeats and stuff like that is just so lovely. It's so amazing. I love it. Um, we get to see Mel's intelligence. We get to see her compassion. We get to see her standing up for herself. Very much a sort of a precursor, but to the way she is in Paradise Towers. Which is great because you can see that natural progression through. Why did I put it at 3 and not 2 or 1? A large portion of that is the screaming ball. The screaming bubble goes on way too fucking long. And also the way they've written that fucking asshole in relation to her is also very annoying because you've got him belittling her, which is unnecessary. And it goes on just too long, in my opinion. And like even when after he saves her from the ball thing, he's still fucking doing it. He's doing it right through practically the fucking end of the story, treating her like shit. And so I don't like seeing story like she's letting water off a duck's back, which is great for her. But I don't like seeing companions I like being treated like crap.
Yeah.
And there's the other reason why it's in the third spot is that while we do have, so again, similar to Paradise, we have them separated and doing their own thing and eventually coming back together. The difference, I think, is until Mel reconnects with the Doctor, it's a lot in Time the Rani. It's a lot of her just following your man and just saying, I have to get to the Doctor. There isn't a whole lot she's doing in that time to, again, advance plot and all that other stuff. I think if you compare that to the likes of Paradise, where she does advance plot and we learn about the whole world through her point of view, I think Time and I just doesn't match up. No. And also, the main reason people remember Time and the Rani is the Rani, whose performance of Mel is still fucking brilliant and like 100% you should go back and watch it. But it does kind of overshadow Mel herself in the story because all the scenes with Mel, even the good ones, part of you is like, okay, we'll cut back because I want to see what they do with that. Yes. Do you know what I mean? So, the gulf between that and like Dragonfire and Delta the Bannerman, from a Mel point of view, is ginormous. But I do think it's a solid 3 in relation to the other 2.
Yeah.
And then we have Paradise Towers.
Yes.
The surprising one, I think, for me, I don't know how it felt for you, but I remember, like, when we were discussing this, I felt kind of surprised that I had enjoyed it so much.
See, again, I remember saying like I got this confused with
The Happiness Patrol,
happiness patrol, and I was like, okay, cool,
which is a very different story.
very different story.
Well, actually, it is and it isn't. There's a certain number of things in common.
Yes, one of them doesn't have a confectionery based villain.
True.
Yeah,
They're both obsessed with colors.
yes, they are. I think that's where the confusion came from. But anyway, Paradise Towers. So the story itself, like we said, was really good. Like the lore in it, the aesthetic of it. Gumby was fantastic. But when it came to Mel's journey to get back to the Doctor was great because it. I think I made the comparison for her and Perry, which was that she wasn't trying to get back to the Doctor so that they could escape. She was trying to get back to the Doctor to save the Doctor because she knew full well that he would be in trouble. And also she wants to go for a swim. But but outside of that, it's we get to see everything through Mel's eyes. And like the Bonnie does a great job in it because you've obviously got the sections with the cannibal grannies, and then you've got her having to deal with the fucking millstone around her neck that is pecs. And like just her attempts to build him up when she kind of realizes the way he's full of shit and he feels a bit down on himself, but she tries to build him up. And like there's that bit in the swimming pool where she has to defend herself from the robot because Pex isn't going to do it. And like the way that she kind of just takes that gun and very like aggressively, I was like, oh cool, yeah, Belle's a badass. But and her thing with the Kangs as well, that was very was funny because she's wearing blue. I was like, fuck off, it's just a top. But no, she progresses plot, but like mostly through exploration rather than action, which again, as we said before, isn't a bad thing. But it's like going on that journey with Mel, I really enjoyed it to the extent of where I was like, it's always a good thing when the Doctor and the companion are separated and you're like, oh cool, I'm enjoying my time with the companion, but I want to see what the Doctor's doing. Then you go back to the Doctor and it's like, oh, I'm enjoying my time with the Doctor, but I want to go back and see what the companion is doing. And that's what Paradise Towers was, because Mel is a very engaging and interesting character at this point. And so going along with her was a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think the big descriptor from Mel in this one is that she uncovers plot.
Yes.
And she is the one who's really doing the world building in a big way through her talks with Pex and her interactions with Cannibal Grannies and her getting up to the top first and stuff like that. We really see the world unfurled from her point of view, because we also have her what the fuck reaction to things where she's like, whereas the Doctor doesn't react in a what the fuck way for most things. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Mel does, and she's very much like, what is this type of thing. She's very brave, very strong, stands up for herself. I mean, like you said, Pex is a fucking pain in the backside. But she still, she has certain moments where she's like, okay, I'll give him a chance. And even like at the end where she gives him the look of, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When he tries to run away and stuff like that. The reason why I put it second, because I do think it's a fantastic Mel story, the reason why I put it second is because of the way the story is paced, and because of how little there actually is in Paradise Towers for her to uncover, in the sense of like, she went up a few floors and then she went down to the basement and then she went back up again and she went into the grannies like 3 times or whatever. It gets a little bit repetitive. And it's not a Mel problem, it's just a pacing problem. But like the fact that she went into the grannies and then she left and then she came back to the grannies again, we had to have her come back. And yet when she came back, she was still believing they were nice old ladies. And I'm like, oh, Petal. Like, like, um,
just the way that you said, like, she goes down a few floors, up a few floors. This is like the shittest Resident Evil game ever.
do you know what I mean? So like, it's good, but it's repetitive, and that's a failure of the writing. It's a failure of, obviously, they only have so many sets they can use and whatever. But it does get a bit repetitive, and you're like, just go up, bitch. You want to get just go up.
Yeah.
Why are you going downstairs? What the fuck is the point of that? So I think of the two of them, I think Paradise Tower is just a bit too repetitive.
Yeah.
For me. And I think we could have seen, like, I want to see more of her with the Kangs.
Yeah.
We get the sort of beginning interaction, we get the little bit in the middle, and then she doesn't even get a scarf or anything at the end, because the Kangs are like, well, you're not our friend, so we didn't fucking spend any time with. In fact, the Kangs even acknowledged in their own way that she didn't spend any time with them. It's like, okay. But then we have Terror of the Vervoids and Paddy's unique decision. I don't know actually if it's unique, but very rare decision to rank an incoming story as the best one, which he doesn't always do.
Yeah, I think it is a very unique story, or a unique situation. I have to go back to let me check my Sarah Jane rambling, because I think Time Warrior was in the top 3.
Yeah, but I don't think it was the first one.
No, give me a sec.
And Spearhead wouldn't have been for Liz.
No, I think.
Was Robot for Harry?
No, I had Robot. I actually looked back at it. I think Robot was my weakest for Harry. I had Genesis as my strongest for Harry.
Well, that's not the sense.
Let's see. Goodbye, Sarah Jane, for now, as we said. So for Sarah Jane, no, I had Genesis. Time Warriors number 2. And just because you had me curious. Let's see. I love our first rambling as well. It was called Random Shite.
We didn't really have this all planned at the beginning.
No, we didn't. Back in the day, we really, really didn't. And yeah, so my number 1 for Liz was Dr. Una Silurians.
Cool. So in that case, I will let you take the reins on why did you put Terror first?
It's the simple fact that this is Mel at her best. And we talked before about it. It's the unique thing of bringing a companion into the show with the relationship already established with the Doctor. Like, obviously, we don't know how they met, like how long they've been traveling together. All we know is that they've hit that sweet spot. They've hit that nice stride into their relationship, and it's, I think, partially like it's a dual thing. It's the writing, which allows Bonnie to do a very good performance, but it's the chemistry with Colin as well. So there's like the bit with them in the gym and they're kind of conspiring as to what to do next. And then there's the bits with them in the lobby and there's the bits with them in the hallway. I think just whenever the two of them are together, just really, really good. Because you can see, this is a rock solid foundation relationship, which informs the caring, nurturing nature she has for Sylv's Doctor. But it's like with Terror of the Vervoids, she knows that there's a murderer loose on the ship, but she has no problem doing solo investigations. And then when she knows that something even fucking hinkier is on the brink, there is still that bravery of going off into restricted areas by yourself to try and figure out like what's going on to help with the investigation. And as we said, like, there's the intelligence aspect where she uses the headphones to try and take a listen into the vents to track whatever it is that's moving there. But as well, I like the ending of Vervoids and her, because of the whole thing of it is technically being party to a genocide, which we talked before. I remember us talking about the fact like it's a really great moral discussion episode because the Doctor realizes that in order for the universe to be safe, I have to kill them all. But there's the huge moral implications of that. And Mel being a very ethical character from like what we see down the line and what we see in the just through basic kind of interaction with the Doctor, it's a decision that weighs heavy on her heart as well. And I'm like, I would like to see if there's a novelization of Dragonfire that references previous stuff that she'd been a part of. Because I think this definitely is, to your point about Dragonfire, this would definitely be one of those key events that would inform the decision to leave. Because for us, it's her first. For us, it's the first time getting to see Mel. So her having her walk away soon after that, kind of like when Tegan had reached her limit with all the death bloodshed. But we know that she's been traveling with the Doctor for a while. So if she had decided to tip out after that, it would have made sense. We would have fully empathized with it at the time, because even though we hadn't seen her with the Doctor for a very long time, the writing and Bonnie's performance of the character led us to believe that going, oh yeah, this is a companion. This is an actual companion. If you get me.
Yeah, I think for me, why does terror come first? It's because terror comes first. It just is. I think, when I was putting together my list originally, I was like, oh, would I put Paradise first or Terror? And I was like, no, like Terror just is an amazing story because it's an introductory story without being bogged down by being an introductory story, which is brilliant. We're right into the action. I mean, just fast forward through the courtroom bits, right? Because those are shit. But when it comes to Mel and the Doctor, we're right into the action. They clearly have a loving, lovely dynamic, which we were so desperate to see, because we started seeing it a bit with Perry, but then they'd pull back and then they'd allow them to be lovely and then they'd pull back, and it was very fucking annoying. But this is just a lovely relationship from the off. And again, if you jump ahead in time to the Shooty era and stuff like that, and you have how Shooty's Doctor reacts to Mel, you can see it all based back here in how she is with Colin. And the fact that, like, this is just one of many adventures that they had, which is fantastic. We get to see her intelligence. This is really the one that, it makes you want to know more about her, and it's also a bit sad because we don't get to learn more about her, really. We get parts of her re-emphasized. Her bravery is re-emphasized. Her compassion is re-emphasized, but we don't get any new layers revealed about her after this story. But you want to, you want to find out, how did this small, bubbly, bouncy-haired, exercise-obsessed computer scientist end up traveling with the Doctor? How the fuck did that happen? Do you know what I mean? You really want to know. But it's just really, really good. And like you said, there's her compassion over the Vervoids in general, her figuring things out for herself, her getting stuck in, her like understanding the wink and the nod when they were sent over, and also challenging when he was like, that wasn't a wink and a nod, why did you do that? And going, well, I don't need your fucking permission. All of that is just really, really great. And I think, we'll talk in a second about where we would rank Mel overall and stuff. But I think for an introductory story, I think this is probably one of the most solid first story for a companion that we have had. Certainly since Sarah Jane. Because I do think that Time Warrior was a great introduction for Sarah Jane as a character. But I think it's probably up there in the top 5 introductory, like from a companion
Yeah.
point of view, for introducing the companion. I'm trying to think of what other ones would be up there from a sort of getting to see the character at their best. Um,
But like I think okay, so
Face of Evil, maybe
yeah,
a little bit would be
so I'm
them.
just going back through them okay, so if you have like an unearthly child, it's good, but it's not them at their best. Then we have the rescue, again, good, but not them at their best. The time meddler, no. Then Ark in Space, no. War Machines, not really.
Not really.
The Highlanders, no, not really. Evil of the Daleks, no. Wheel in Space, no. Spirit from Space is a good one, but I think like Spirit from Space is a strong enough one.
Yeah.
Terror of the Autons, no, not really. Time Warrior, as we said, massively. Robot, not no. I would say it's good, but it's not the best. Face of Evil is good. Yeah, I think I put Face of Evil in there. Ribos Operation, no. Then we have Destiny of the Daleks, definitely not. Then the ones for Adric, which is Full Circle, oh, Keeper of Tracking.
No, because it's not. It's not really. It's not really. This isn't.
No, Logopolis, no. So then, yeah, like it would be this, and I would even say Dragonfire because I really enjoyed Ace's arrival in Dragonfire.
I do too, and we'll talk about that more when we get to Ace. So
yeah, I don't.
I think the one thing that we didn't get as much of in Dragonfire is Ace and the Doctor.
No, true.
Which we got a lot of Mel and the Doctor in Terror.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I'd probably put it up there with the others, but it'd probably be at the bottom of those.
Bottom of the top. I think we would probably go Time Warrior, Face of Evil, and then probably Terror of the Worldwhites.
Yeah. So now that you've watched Mel all the way through again, because obviously you had seen her stories before, but not looking at it through this lens. I don't know, like when you were first going through your rewatch all those years ago, had you sort of been zoning out by the time you got to Mel? I couldn't remember.
So what was I doing at this point in time? So my actual my watch through of Doctor Who was a very strange thing because I had seen scattering of classic before I really started going in on classic, and so what I did was I started watching the fourth Doctor. So I started off with Genesis, and then I went back and I started doing Robot and all that kind of stuff. And then you and I met, and then for your birthday I got you the Romans, and then I said I've kind of not really seen a whole lot of one, so I started watching one. So I was watching 1 and 4 concurrently. So I was watching different Doctors at the same time. But definitely when it got to this stage of the game, I was kind of checking out a bit mentally. I was watching them for the sake of watching them. And when you're like, I was watching them pretty much a story a day. And to go from the highs of the golden era of the first 4, starting with the decline of 4 in the Romana 2 era, and then you have Peter. Colin I liked because Colin is Colin, and he was charismatic. His Doctor was charismatic, and he was different, and it was just this energy about him, And then when it came to Sylvester, I liked Sylvester, but again, the tone between Mel 7 and A 7 is very different. Very, very
Mm.
different. And I think I was just getting so tired of the campy 80s bullshit of John Nathan Turner that I didn't give this the fucking thing it deserved. And I think
Mm.
Mel, kind of like Perry, suffered for it initially. But also, and I'm kind of having, we had a number having a conversation with our mutual friend Alan, is I don't know about you, but I think my media engagement and my media literacy has changed a lot and has matured a lot over the last
Mm.
number of years. I look back at some of the stuff that I may have said or believed. I'm like, you fucking pillock. So like, um, I would again, and that's why I urge people like, do not just go off of what, like even I saying positive stuff about things. Go and watch it for yourself because you might have a different opinion to me, and on the flip side, negative things, go off and watch it by yourself and just come back and we can have a nice, interesting discussion about it. With Mel, I'm kind of getting a long way around to this point, is that Mel, I don't think will crack the top 10 companions because of the the potential was there, but the execution was very, very poor as it goes on, which is a shame because you can say with Perry, like, oh, like, well, they after a while they only really focused on one thing with Perry, but Perry was still Perry, and there was a lot of
Mm.
kind of development and growth in there, and it was like they got bored of her in a different way than they did to Mel. So yeah, like unfortunately she's not going to crack into the top 10 companions. Like
Mm.
but even that, like I still like her than some other companions. Like I much prefer her to the likes of Turlo and Stephen, and obviously she's better than Victoria. She's better than Dodo, and it really fucks me off in the sense that a lot of the lower tier companions that are female is because of the really piss poor writing that they received, not the fact that they're bad characters,
Mm.
like Turlo and Stephen, who I do believe are bad characters. Mel, Dodo, Victoria. I'm just trying to think who else. We can't really say Katarina. Um, we can't really say Sarah Kingdom as well, although Sarah Kingdom was pretty fucking cool. But like those three, they're really underdeveloped and they suffer from just fucking shitty writing.
Yeah.
Like I still like Mel more than I like, as I said, the two lads. I still like her more than a fair slew of the fucking modern companions that we will be discussing in a while. So yeah, I don't know if I can give her a number at the moment. I'd have to really think about it. But suffice to say, she doesn't crack the top 10.
Yeah. I think I'd agree. I think, again, like I said, for me, this is very interesting because I had watched the shooty stories first and then gone back and done this, which is a very weird way to watch companions. Um, and I was, again, similar to Romana 1, I was very pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't expect to like her as much as I did.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of, again, I had this whole all Mel does scream type thing in my head, and she does a lot. Like that is not a like if you say oh Mel is a screaming companion, that's not a lie.
No.
Like I think in many ways Mel, for people our age, I think Mel is probably one of the key examples of the screaming companion
Yeah.
that people would cite, because that was her whole point. Like that was specifically what JNT wanted to do with her. Um, would she crack the top 10? I don't know. I mean, how many companions have we fucking had now? I mean, like we've had a few.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to figure out from
Because like, I'll
like
put it this way: at your baseline, okay, is probably Sarah Jane, Ian, Barbara, Liz Shaw, fucking Nissa. What are we at there? That's six.
Leela,
Leela,
Romana 1.
Romano one. That's 7, 8,
Harry.
Harry 9, and then sometimes you flip between Susan, sometimes you flip between Victoria, Jamie. So
Yeah, so I don't think she would crack the top 10. But she wouldn't be far off it either. I mean, I'm actually just looking at the tracker that me and Paddy have that we cite sometimes when we're talking about what scores we're giving. The companions start in column H, and Mel is column AH. So we went the whole way through the alphabet, came back around again. So yeah, I don't think she'd be in my top 10. But I think she's really fun to watch. I think I love her dynamic with both doctors. It's quite unique. The dynamic she has with each of them is a bit different. I'm curious. I'm sure somewhere, either a Big Finish or BBC Books or someone did the introduction story. How did she actually meet the Doctor and stuff like that? But again, I would stress, if you in any way likes the character in Shooty's era, or if you found her interesting, come back and watch these. Again, with Terror and Ultimate Foe, just fast forward around the court. Well, with Terror, just fast forward around the court shit. Ultimate Foe, you don't really have a choice. Because that is the Ultimate Foe. But yeah, I think this was a pleasant surprise. I'm also like, now in my head being like, oh, I think Bonnie's in Paddington at the moment. And I'm like, I kind of want, like, if Bonnie's like, I want to go see Paddington anyway, because hello. Hello. And also, hello, it's Paddington.
Hi.
But I'm like, I kind of want to see Bonnie in more things.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good. Like, and that's something, no offense to Nicola Bryant, comparing, say, Mel and Perry, who, like, neither of them had a lot of character development. Perry had certainly a longer time in the role. She had more episodes than Mel did, but Mel doesn't have a stupid fucking annoying accent. That's on my last nerve. She gets major brownie points for not having a stupid annoying accent. I think I'll take the screams over the stupid annoying accent a million times over. So yeah, look, I've enjoyed our exploration of Mel. I've enjoyed getting to know her as a character. I'm kind of sad she only had 6 stories, and that of them, really only 3.5, taking half of Ultimate Foe into that, which is actually only 3.25, really, because Ultimate Foe was only 2 fucking episodes.
Yeah.
Only 3.5 of them actually focused in any way on her as a character, which is just sad, because there was so much, like, there was a lot of potential in Delta and the Bannerman for her to do stuff. There was a lot of potential in Dragonfire for her to do stuff, and they just didn't, because Sabalon fucking Glitz and the Green Baby.
Yeah. So I have a question for you as well, right? So this is the second of 3 dark areas for you in Doctor Who, because the first one would have been obviously the Reconstruction era, especially so, which would have again mainly been 2, because you were very familiar with the first half of 1 because of Ian and Barbara, and then obviously you hadn't really watched 5, you hadn't seen any of 6, and you've only seen the latter half of 7, like, so you've seen from now onwards. And then going into the future, it's the arse end of Matt Smith, and the majority of Capaldi's era are kind of in the dark for you. What did you make of this particular dark era?
I would treat the 5 and 6 dark eras as very, very different. 5, I think we can all agree, I fucking hated. And to be honest, the arse end of 4, once Romana 1 left, I wasn't a big fan of either.
Yeah.
Basically, John Nathan Turner and me are not really friends. Not the biggest fan of the J&T eras of the show in general. However, when it comes to how did I enjoy it, I think I got really jaded partway through 5. And again, full disclosure, I had a whole lot going on
Mhm.
when we were going through 5.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Which I haven't had since October of this year. It's been in a very different
Mhm.
space, which makes it easier for me to enjoy Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But I think I'm glad we've gone through it. I'm kind of glad I'm at the arse end of it, to be honest, that I know what I'm getting
Yeah.
for the next 8 stories. I'm gutted that there's only 8 before I go into another small blip of a black area of the movie, because I haven't seen that yet. But no, I've enjoyed them to different degrees. And I'm just sad that, Colin didn't get as long as I would have liked and wasn't treated as well as I would have liked in comparison to Peter Davison. That Mel didn't get as long as the likes of Tegan, and like the seasons have gotten shorter. Season 24 was only 4 stories. Season 25 is only 4 stories. Season 26 is only 4 stories. That I'm not liking. I would have liked it if that had been for 5, but whatever. So that has kind of upset me a bit. Because I don't think the characters are being given as much room to grow.
No.
Again, spoiler, I do know what's coming with Ace. Ace is very good. But I think it's a bit unfair on particularly Perry and Mel in comparison to the likes of Tegan, Nyssa. I think Nyssa got a bit shafted.
Yeah. Oh, she got the royal shaft.
Tegan not as much, Turlo not as much, Nyssa got shafted. Adric got shafted with the Doctor change. Romana 2 was just fucking annoying. I didn't like her. Leela was obviously a brilliant fucking surprise. Shot right up through the rankings in terms of companions, so that was a very pleasant surprise. So yeah, I think for me, the sort of challenging part of this era, I guess, and of this block, was Romana 2
through 5
to the start of Colin.
Yeah, because that I remember just thinking like that. If you don't enjoy Colin, like there's a good chance we might take an extended break because that would have been a real make or break. And I had an inkling, as I said, I had about like a 60% confidence rate that you'd enjoy Colin.
Well, I think I was also quietly confident because I like Colin as a person.
Yeah.
Again, having met him and spoken to him and seen how he reacts and how he, embodies the Doctor at conventions and stuff, I really wanted to like his Doctor.
Yeah.
In comparison, having met Peter Davison at a convention where he was grand, I wasn't as like, oh my god, I hope I like him. Like, the only reason I really wanted to like Peter was because he looks a little bit like our friend's dad.
Yeah. But no.
But yeah. But look, we are on to the final, as well, what many would consider the final generation of classic Who, starting in, for you listening, it'll be starting in 2 weeks' time, which is going to be Ace's first full story as a companion. Beginning of season 25, which is the silver jubilee of the show. Yep. Season 25 has some interesting stuff on it.
It does. It really does.
And it's, yeah, go on.
No, I was glad because there's like a couple of trivia things in here which I'm going to be very happy with, and I'm going to annoy the shit out of you, even though like you probably know them already. But yeah, season 25 begins the start of the what's called the Cartmel plan. So that'll be interesting to get to.
Yeah. And because I'm sort of humming and hawing and whatever, you can probably tell I've forgotten the name of the first episode. So Paddy,
It's Remembrance of the Daleks.
like I knew it was a something of the
Yeah.
Daleks, but there's so many of the Daleks that I couldn't remember.
Yeah, this weird, which is the whole, there was resurrection and there's revelation and then there's remembrance, and you're waiting for like the resurgence, the reparations, the removal, the rehabilitation,
The redundancy of the
the
Daleks.
redundancy of the Daleks.
But yeah, so no, but seriously, the next story is going to be very interesting in terms of some Doctor Who history
Yes.
that'll be coming up.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to discussing that one with you. But until then, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.